Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my LA Kings franchise mode series right here on NHL 20. And today we prepare ourselves for the beginning of our third season. Now, as we've talked about a lot, this series hasn't exactly gone according to plan. Not necessarily in a negative way, but it really was sparked by the Kempe trade before the trade deadline. And of course, that continued with the Dustin Brown and Jeff Carter moves that happened at the draft. You know, this roster, it really has turned the page to the point where, aside from Kopitar and Doughty, there's nothing left, I believe, of the cup-winning teams. Alex Iafallo, of course, wasn't on the roster at that point, so it definitely is a new era for this team, which was going to happen sooner rather than later. And the smarter move is, of course, to get rid of those vets, recoup some assets, and try to make the most of it. But I didn't plan on doing it as quickly as we did. But ultimately, that was the case. And now it sets the stage for this free agency period where we really need to... we need to fill out this roster first and foremost, but we kind of showed it. You know, in terms of going out and getting players, it's a little bit rough right now in terms of who to get, because we have a lot of players that might be graduating up to the NHL level, and we don't necessarily want to have too many complications with having to potentially get rid of somebody that we don't plan on getting rid of. This roster's in a really weird spot right now, you know, for both forwards and defense, where it's like, okay, what kind of development are we going to see from a lot of these players? So when it comes to free agency, we've only sent out one offer right now. That would be to Ryan Bednard, a backup goaltender, at least I hope. We have $36 million in space. So, yeah, we need to spend almost $20 million. And, you know, Taylor Hall is out there. Philip Deneau is out there. In terms of the big money moves, I'm kind of hoping we can sim a little bit, see these years, you know, the years wanted for these options drop, and then be good to go. I mean, we could send an offer right now to David Krejci, to Eric Stahl, but likely anybody that we pick up, I'm going to want to use for trade bait, and obviously the lower the salary, the better, so that, you know, it's not limited to like, okay, well, we have to retain, because we'd only be able to do that 3 times anyway, at the most. I don't actually know if we have a retained salary at this point in time. So the game plan is pretty simple. We're going to sim ahead to August 1st. That is the date in free agency where I'm allowed to offer anybody a contract who is left on the free agent list. Right now, we can only do one big-time forward, one big-time defenseman, and a goaltender, and we've already sent out that offer to a goaltender. So the game plan here is simple. We're going to sim ahead. I have done a complete sweep of our scouting departments, so hoping that, you know, we see a lot of top-notch talent, except, although Brian Pan did not. He goes to Anaheim, which kind of sucks. Lawson is down with Ontario, as is Burns. Just did the deal where we throw out a crap ton of money to get a top-notch staff. Also have completely redone the scouting department to try and help us out a little bit. Of course, still no amateur scouts right now. It's going to be all pro scouts, which, you know, is going to help us with the info that's out there when we go to make trades, especially considering, again, right now at least, I think anytime I make a trade, it's pretty much going to be the AI offering it one way or another, whether it's through the trade block or whether it's through the trade finder. Of course, as Graham Lombardi is going to be our new head coach, an A grade. Not sure who he's supposed to be replicating. Isaiah Jansevsky has also signed as our goalie coach. So from the looks of it, every single staff member I wanted, except for Pan, ended up signing. So that'll help us out quite a bit and shouldn't really have an overly negative effect, or at least I hope. I really wish you could just do like an accept all, as Ryan Bednard has signed with the team. So the goaltending's taken care of. Now it's just a matter of how the rest of the team plays out. And like I said, who else is available to sign as of August 1st. So in terms of the department, it's just an NHL assistant coach that we're missing. We have our 20 scouts. We need a defensive specialist for that assistant's spot. And it's going to be It's a tough call here. It's going to be a B-minus level player. Nobody has that great of teaching stat, apparently. This guy does. This is the person right here, Winkler. Neil Winkler. Again, assistant coach is the role. Hopefully he signs. So you see, we have a negative, basically $32 million budget. But hopefully Winkler signs. And with that, as you would have seen, the coaching staff at both the NHL and the AHL level is pretty much top-notch, which is good and something, of course, that we can take advantage of, not having owner mode on. So let's actually take a look here and see what top free agents are gone. As Derek Grant goes to Carolina, the biggest free agent of them all. Petrie goes back to Edmonton. Jordan Bennington to Calgary. Bjorkstrand signs a 5-year offer sheet with New Jersey. Mike Hoffman to New York. Pietrangelo went to Anaheim. Taylor Hall went back to Arizona. Eric Hollis signs another 1-year deal. He goes to Philly. Philip Deneau to St. Louis. Peter Mrazek on the move. Eric Branson somehow gets a 3-year deal. Pekka Rinne to Carolina. Dubnyk on the move. Josh Hosang stays with the Islanders, which is shocking. Alex Edler goes to Pittsburgh. Perhorkin on the move again. Ryan Murray to Detroit. And Ryan Strome is going to be sticking around with the New York Rangers. So we have a couple more weeks to sim. And then we'll have free reign to bring in whoever the hell we want to help take away some of the open cap space. Winkler signs, so the coaching staff is still good to go. We're going to have to rework the scouts, of course, to make sure that they're all pro scouts before the season begins. But that is pretty straightforward. So here we go. August 1st. Let's double check some things with the roster. But for the most part, again, we are still in full rebuilder mode and waiting to see how this goes. Now, again, goaltending, if I'm not mistaken, we have our 6, and we do. So we're good to go there. For defensemen, we need to double check how many people we have signed right now. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With an extra 1 who's going to be in junior potentially. So we really have need for 3 defensemen, I would say, 3 to 4. So let's go see who's out there. 35 contracts, 5 exempt. So we really need 3 to 4 defensemen. Let's take a look at who is out there at this point. Sergachev's still there, but as an RFA. So really the only half-decent defenseman still out there is Jason Demers. I mean, we might as well. We can bring him in. He's looking for a 1-year deal. I'm going to offer him about as low as I can. Now, there is no rule, thankfully, about, using a cap whale, essentially. Signing a guy to a $17 million contract. Let me know what you think about that. I think it's, probably should be fair game in a series like this. I don't know. I don't know how people feel about potentially adding another rule. But it is an option. As far as who is out here and available, again, we know there aren't that many top prospects. So who do we want to save from the depths of the free agent list? Luke Shen. Congratulations to Luke Shen. I think you're going to be a cap whale for me. $17 million, Luke. Let's also sign Matt Hunwick. Bring in Matt Hunwick for the year. And, that brings us up to 15, which in theory we should be good to go. One more. 15 we should be fine. We should be. We do have one retained salary as well. I think that's still... I don't know if that's not Richards, is it? I'm not sure who it is. It wouldn't be Richards. That's a whole different penalty. For the forwards, in terms of top options, Ilya Kovalchuk is still out there. Quite a few third-line options. Jaden Schwartz is out there as well. Let's double-check the forwards that we already have and see how many we need, and then we'll be good to go. So the big thing to check here is role, where right now, technically, we only have 6 players who are guaranteed NHLers. And, of course, we could be signing Dylan Genther as well. So, a couple of third liners wouldn't hurt, just in case the player development isn't there. So in terms of who or how many players we have signed, of course we have 9 there. 10, 11, and 12 on Kapari. So that's another 9, but we have the AHL, so really it's just 6. 6 forwards. I mean, we need a good 9 forwards signed. Dylan Genther can be one of them, and probably will be, but we legitimately need about 9 forwards signed, which is insanity. So, didn't mean to look at contracts, meant to go to free agency. There we go. So let's see who's out there again. Obviously, we know like Kovalchuk's out there. So, in terms of the top options, I mean, Berchki, Kovalchuk, Steen. It's more a matter, I think, of signing the younger guys who aren't likely to drop in overall before the beginning of the season. Sven Berchki still wants a 3-year deal, so there's no way that's going to happen. So Jaden Schwartz is going to be a target, and we're going to sign him to that. That works for me. I don't think he'll really be willing to negotiate. I don't expect Patrick Maroon to drop. He very well could, which would suck. Maybe Jaden Schwartz is the only guy I sign, and we try to commit. Like I said, I'm afraid to sign the veterans. I could only drop Berchki down to a 2-year deal. Which, I mean, you know, how has he done lately? Has he still been playing in Utica? No, so the Canucks actually used him properly over the past 2 years. I mean, he is a 30 to 40 point guy. You know what, Sven? I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it. If he's willing to sign that, I'm good with that as well. And then it's just a question over, do I sign Patrick Maroon, or do we look, and I only want to go with UFAs, do we look at the likes of Jimmy Vesey? Could bring Kyle Clifford back. You know, I'm going to do that. I said most of the old guard is gone. I'm going to offer him a little bit more. Let's see if we can bring Kyle Clifford back to Los Angeles. And then Grabner's there. I'm also going to try to offer Jimmy Vesey a deal. And we'll see if he's willing to sign or accept that. So, overall, we have 4 forwards out there. And we needed what? So, let's see. Yeah, we had 6 in the AHL, so that was another 6. We needed 9 forwards. So, we still have to send out 5 deals here. And as far as who that's going to be to, I do not know. Miletich works. Is that a Miletich, as in former UFC champion Pat Miletich, or it's Miletic, perhaps. I don't know. But we're going to sign him to a 3-year deal. He'd still be an RFA. So he's option number 5. Tyler Mott, potentially. Josh Archibald. David Kampf. I'm looking for other guys who might still have room to develop, like Oland as a minor league checker. Same thing for him, sign him for a little bit of time. So that would be our 6, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so we need 3 more. 3 more dudes, although with the amount of exempt contracts, hopefully this is allowed. Let's see who signs first out of that mix, and then we'll move on from there. So hopefully everybody signs, and we are good to go. So we'll just hit sim the next season. Luke Shen signed that deal. Kyle Clifford is back. Jimmy Vesey went to St. Louis. Jason Demers went to St. Louis. Hunwick signs. Sven Berchki rejected. Miletich signs. Olin signs. Jaden Schwartz signed. So a mixed bag. Some players rejecting because flat out they wanted to go to a contender. Which, again, I would have traded them to a contender anyway, but we'll make the most of it. So in terms of defensemen, again, we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We need 1 more defenseman, and it can be the best guy that we can get. And then as far as forwards, again, we have 9, 10, 11, and 12 with Amadio. And there we have 9, 10... So, 4 forwards and a defenseman, ideally. With the exempt contracts, we should be fine. So 4 forwards and a defenseman, I think, right now is the game plan, and that would leave room to sign Dylan Genther if we had to. So again, let's go UFA only. And for the top defenseman, it's mainly who I think either has a chance to develop or isn't going to be terrible. It's either Gavrikov or Bergman. I've used Gavrikov. We used him in the Russian series. So let's bring on Bergman for the year. I'm going to offer him a little bit more money just to see if he'll accept. And then forward-wise, it looks like Kovalchuk and others are gone now too. So Carter Verhaeghe, sign him up for the year. Do we have anybody else who's 25 or so? I don't really want to go for other forwards because we know that they're not that great. So out of the 26-year-olds then, let's go for Nick Patan. Sign him for the year. And then for checkers, let's go for David Kampf and Curtis Lazar. And with that, we should be good. Ideally, I should be allowed to sign all these players. The exempt contracts should kick in, and we should be good to go. So again, we'll hit sim the next season. Lazar signs. Kampf signs for Verhaeghe, Patan, and Bergman. Beautiful. So with that, we're pretty much good to go. Could sign one or two other players if I had to. Again, Dylan Genther, there's a very good chance I'm going to sign him, depending on what he's looking like in terms of potential development before the start of the season. We are over the cap floor, so we are good to go. Obviously, at the start of the year, I'm going to have to probably jump cut to make sure the roster and everything is set up. Although, the thing is, too, we could continue because a lot of you left suggestions for goals at the season. Rightfully so, it's what I asked for. So what we might do is sim a little bit into the season, and then I'll probably have a straw poll in the description where you guys will be able to vote on what the goal for the season should be. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the episode, though. So let's take a look first and foremost at contracts and see if we should be signing one Dylan Genther. I won't be able to see roll here, but that's okay. So Tyler Madden, still a minor league scorer. We're going to leave him unsigned for the year. Shafagulin as well. I mean, we can assume what their overall is and if it would benefit them to play, actually play hockey, but I'm going to leave them unsigned. Genther's still a depth forward. All right, so Genther's the only real one that we have to worry about. We'll keep him in mind as we look over the roster here to see who should be playing. So goalie-wise, Leonard and Bednard. Vianney Vivalainen still listed as a backup, so that is our 3-3 split. 3 goalies in the NHL, 3 goalies in the AHL. For defensemen, Clegg, Bjornfot, now also top 6. We have depth options. Let's make that quick switch there. Anybody else take the step up? No, although Anderson is now a depth defenseman as well. Interesting. Wait, wow. Matt Roy dropped down to a minor league top 2. Whew, that's not good. That's not good at all. We need to try and rehab him just a little bit. So we're going to bump up Roy, and I think we're going to bump up Mikey Anderson. And that should do it. I mean, you could make the debate over Zykov and where he should be playing, whether in the NHL or the AHL, and to be honest, I don't know the answer. And then forward-wise, holy depth. Good God. Well, first and foremost, let's send down Kampf. So, in terms of the top, I mean, we're safe from the looks of it. I mean, yeah, we're safe in terms of limitations. I mean, this is going to be a very weird roster, but that's 3, that's 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 with more. Lazat, we have a bunch of guys listed as depth forwards. I think the obvious answer here is to send down Ferk. So that's 10, 11, 12, and 13. So somebody out of that group of depth options is going to be the odd man out. The fourth line is pretty much set with Wagner, Amadio, Clifford. Good thing is there's really nobody there that has to be called up. So it's just a matter of what depth forward doesn't get the chance. The fourth line is set. Ideally, I think we'd have all of these third liners technically in the top 6. So we're looking for one skill guy and third liners. Matt Luff can be a third liner. Anderson Dolan looks like he could be a third liner. Kapari could be a third liner. Trevor Moore. Looks like all of them could really do a decent job on that third line. We don't know for sure how good they are. Somebody's the odd man out. That Kyle Clifford signing kind of came back to bite me in the ass a little bit. Because we should have gone without him. I'm a little bit worried about Rasmus Kupari. Because he is the youngest option. So I think by default, I'm going to send him down until we see how good he is at the AHL level. Which means out of this group here, I can sort by age, can I not? Although Martin Ferk could easily be the healthy scratch. That works for me. He's done a decent job of that over the past few seasons. So I'm thinking that is our list of 13 forwards. And then again, for our defensemen, I think I want to wait to see how good Zekov is. So it's going to be Roy who gets the call up. And it's going to be Mikey Anderson, I think, who gets the call-up as well. And then as far as the healthy scratch, I want to see how good Anderson is. And again, we have to rehab Roy a little bit. I think the healthy scratch could very well be Bergman. He can play wherever. I guess it might as well be him, because otherwise it's someone like Hunwick. So it might as well be Bergman. And that just makes going best lines that much easier. Or going with best lines. So pretty sure that's what the roster's gonna be. I mean, again, we don't know for sure what some of these overalls are on the team right now because we've had some developments. And then the question of what to do with Dylan Genther. I mean, if we didn't sign Clifford and Schwartz, I think there'd be room for him. But right now the top line's looking like Kopitar, Iafallo, Turcotte. Second line is probably Grundstrom, Schwartz, Anderson, Dolan. Third line's probably Moore, Lizotte, and Luff. So there's really no reason to sign Dylan Genther right now. We're going to give some of these other guys an opportunity to prove themselves this season. And if they botch it, then we know we can kind of move on from them and just recoup some assets. So I'm thinking that's the game plan for this year. So just to get you a look, obviously I'm going to have to optimize this a little bit with player types. But I'm thinking that this is the team. And Clifford might be better at draws, maybe not, than Amadio. But that is pretty much what this team is shaping up to be. I don't totally hate it. I don't expect this to be good. But, I mean, in terms of the youth and building from within, I mean, obviously the only difference here is like, okay, if we still had Kempe, Schwartz wouldn't be here, and it would be Kempe there instead. It's pretty much the only change. Carter going, Brown going, it made sense. And then defensively, we're going to have to see where everyone fits in, to be honest. Cale Clegg might be the perfect fit. Bjorn Fott's just as good there. Anderson's just as good. Clegg just kind of gels on any line, but nobody's amazing next to Doughty. So Bjorn Fott could work, and we could get a +1 across the way. In fairness, we're going to have to double check some stuff to see who's really good to go in terms of, player type matching. But that's going to be our defense to start this season. And I know it's not overly impressive, but it is a young defense. A very, very young defense indeed. And then the wild card is Robin Lehner, who is an elite goaltender, so I'm assuming he's higher than an 84 overall. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this team is capable of doing this season. But worst comes to worst, at the deadline, we're good to go. Although, I done goofed. I was going to sign Jaden Schwartz anyway. I forgot to spin the wheel for Jaden Schwartz. He's the only one that we had to spin the wheel for, Now, in fairness, it's a no trade and not a no movement clause, which is very good news. Unlike with Hall and Pietrangelo, I am going to have freedom to trade him. It's just a matter of how limited we're going to be in terms of where I can trade him. That's the big question that we're going to have to find the answer to. So I didn't save the wheel, unfortunately, because I am terrible at what I do. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Sucks at his job 24 is here. So, the wheel is set. Just about, at least. So, this is for the no trade clause. However many teams it lands on is how many teams from the bottom of the standings he cannot be traded to. So, it could only be the bottom 3 teams. It could be as many as 25 teams that he's not allowed to be traded to. The answer for one Jaden Schwartz, 24 teams. Jesus. So basically, the only way we can trade Jaden Schwartz is to a contender. That is the only way. Jaden Schwartz will have to be traded to one of the top teams, or he cannot be traded at all. Pretty straightforward. So he's willing to sign here. He'll benefit Anderson, Dolan, and Grundstrom playing next to them. But whether or not we're able to move him at the deadline, if we have to, we have a very limited pool of teams that we could potentially send him to. Now, I know I said that I was going to start the season in this episode, but I do think I'm going to hold off because I want to know right out of the gates what the goals for the season are. So I'll tell you what. Again, there is a straw poll in the description. You guys left comments over the, in the last comment section, the last episode, over what the goals for the year should be. And again, there are 3, and the punishments, if we fail 1, 2, or 3, of course, are listed in the description. First one, however, both Frankie Gogan. Frankie, you got to tell me how to say your last name, buddy. You're a patron as well. It's ridiculous. And Ethan Miller both left this comment, and that was to have a winning record over San Jose and Anaheim, which can indeed happen. Gab Gaming also left a suggestion, be over 500 at home. In fairness, someone responded saying, just in general, which might not be easy. I believe it's Thatcher left a comment as well saying, have 23 or more goal scorers, so 20 goal scorers or more on the season. There was also one of having a combined goalie save percentage of a 9-10 or higher, which, scoring has been dropped a little bit. I don't know how much it's going to drop, but that is also a suggestion. Another suggestion from Jordan Dewey is to have more than 25 wins on the season. And there was one from Damon Pham as well. Finish as a top 20 team in scoring by the deadline. The thing there was to acquire a veteran to bring an offensive output, but of course we're not exactly doing it that way. So I want to have it as finish as a top 20 team in terms of scoring as another suggestion there as well. So those 6 potential goals for the season are in a straw poll in the description. The poll is multiple choice. The top 3 will be our goals for the season. And again, remember the way it works this year. If we fail 1, we give up a C-level prospect or a 3rd-round pick. If we fail 2 of the goals, B-level prospect or a 2nd. And if we fail all 3 goals, we give up a top-notch prospect or a 1st-round pick. So let me know. It'll be up to you guys. Vote in that straw poll again that is in the description. And this team and this roster will be good to go. They will be set, and we will begin our 3rd season in the next episode. So I hate to disappoint that this episode was not near an hour like a lot of the other ones have been. But regardless, I thank you guys so much for watching, the support with this series, the support of the channel. It is greatly appreciated. You know the deal. Feel free to support the channel, like and subscribe if you have not already done so. Check out everything in the description. Of course, all the socials are there. Twitch, where right now we're going heavy on MLB The Show. And again, it might be disappointing to some of you, but like I said, the NHL, or NHL is still going to be pretty much what this channel is. So I don't think I'll be having an MLB franchise mode series, although again, you can check out the VODs over on Twitch. Obviously, I stream at a time that isn't exactly great for everybody, but you can still check out that stuff there. The VODs are up. You can watch any stream from whenever. We're doing a lot of Road to the Show stuff, a lot of franchise stuff, March to October, like a little bit of everything, because MLB is actually pretty good this year so far. And of course, shout out to my patrons as well. I love you. I will see you all soon. Until then, have a good one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.